and welcome back. This is Mark Dickinson. This is RLS, Rapid Learning Session. In the RLS, what we try to do is cover one topic very quickly so you can go away, get a lot of information in a short space of time and share it with other people. This session is called Powerful Listening. Powerful listening is really important. It's the difference between hearing, which is a physiological process, meaning hearing sounds. You can hear the AC, you can hear a dog barking in the distance. That's hearing. Or listening. Listening is a choice. Listening is something that we decide, and I always love to tell this story. You know, here's the story. You get on the bus, you're the driver of the bus, and the bus goes from here to the first bus stop. 3 people get on, 2 people get off. You drive the bus to the second bus stop. 5 people get on, 2 people get off. You drive the bus to the third bus stop. 10 people get on. What is the size of the bus driver's shoes? Now, some of you are going to go, "You're crazy. How do we know that?" Well, if you're listening, then you would know that you are the driver of the bus and the size of the shoes is your shoe size. So it's not a crazy question. It's about listening. But the problem is we are so busy in this life, we don't listen. You see, listening demands a very high intellect and a very low ego. See, as soon as your ego goes up and you become so full of yourself, you can't hear anything. You're deaf. You see, it's crazy, but what happens is you're so busy thinking in your head what you want to say, and you're so busy with your answer, creating it in your head, that you're not listening to the other person. And this is a function of ego. And so what's really important to remember is this: I learn when I listen, and when I speak, all I'm doing is repeating what I already know. I'll say that again. I learn when I listen, and when I speak, I'm only repeating what I already know. And this is really important, because if you want to be powerful in listening, you've got to separate yourself from what's being said. It's not about you. It's the other person sharing a message with you. So your role is to stay neutral, because if you stay neutral, you stay free. There's only one thing in this world that you own, and that is the thoughts in your head. Everything else, you don't own it. It's not yours. But while it's in your head and you keep it there, it's yours and you own it. And if you keep your thoughts to yourself, you may save yourself a lot of trouble. So when you're listening, one of the most powerful and effective techniques is not to engage in the emotion of the conversation. Easier said than done. No one can hurt me. They reveal themselves and I observe. I want to break this down for you. This is something that I took 5 days to meditate to understand. Here's how it works. I am a figment of your imagination. You only see me because of the light shining from me and the sound waves coming out of me that you can hear. In your brain, you have made a picture of me. So, in your mind, you have the idea that this guy is here to help me learn. If I suddenly stop doing that and I go, "Ah!" and you go, "Ooh, what happened?" You'd be like, "Why did he do that? That's crazy." Right? But who actually did the disruption? You did, in your mind. Why? Because you had a picture of me like this, teaching or explaining a topic, and then suddenly in the middle of it, I make that noise, "Bah!" And then you're like, "What is he doing?" Right? Why? Because you had a certain image of me, and then I broke it by doing something that is not in the pattern of me inside your head. So if you go with me through this, no one can hurt me. They reveal themselves. They're showing me who they are, and I observe. Now you have the answer to the question. You see, the thing is, you can only hurt yourself. Where? In your head. How? By the thoughts you have. So if you settle in your mind that when someone's talking to you, they can't hurt you, they're just revealing themselves. They're showing you what they're thinking about and how they're thinking. And what you need to be doing is going, okay, the picture of this person in my head, I can modify it. I can change it. I can let it become whatever they reveal to me now through what they say. And so this increases your ability to understand people. So I want you to get this. Once upon a time, you knew absolutely nothing, completely nothing. You didn't know anything. You were a small little baby. All you had was an instinct. You need to eat, and you need to drink, and you need to let stuff go out of your body. And those were the instincts you had. But as time went by, what happened? You started to know stuff. And as soon as you started to know things, you became knowledgeable. Well, here's the deal. You started with knowing nothing. And then what happened is you had an idea, and then a thought. And then the thought became an opinion. The opinion grew into a belief, and the belief became a conviction. And so what happened is you matured and solidified these thoughts until they became convictions. But once upon a time, you didn't know anything that today you're extremely convinced about. And that's a very scary thought, because we take our beliefs and our convictions for granted. We think that everyone should have the same convictions as we do. At least on an intellectual level, we accept that other people can have other points of view. But actually in your construct, you're seeking people who are going to think and feel and do and agree with the way you think. So what's really important when you're listening is to understand that the journey of everything we know started from total ignorance. You actually knew nothing. And now, when you've reached this glorious, enlightened state, this is where you're very convinced about what you're thinking. So you've gone on the journey of what we call the journey of everything you know. And if you look at the diagram that I'm sharing with you, you can see all the way through, beginning from ignorance all the way to factuality. So very, very interesting. You began by knowing nothing. And so what you've got to think about is when someone's talking to you, what are they saying? Is it a thought? Is it an opinion? Is it a belief? Or is it a conviction? So if we just deal with these 4 different states of mind, we will be able to create outstanding conversations where there's almost no conflict for us, because we have in our minds, no one can hurt us, they reveal themselves, and I observe. So my first focus is, what is this person communicating? Not the topic, but are they sharing a thought? Are they sharing an opinion? Are they sharing a belief? Or are they sharing a conviction? And we're going to go through these one by one. So the first is a thought. A thought is like a squidgy ball. You can do anything with it. You can squish it, you can throw it around, it will bounce around, and no one's going to own it and get all excited and angry if you tell them something different. So if you say to someone, well, so what are you thinking? Then they'll share with you their thoughts. If you get to opinion, problem is as soon as you talk opinion, people give their opinion. See, they don't share an opinion, they give it. And so they say, this is my opinion. So what happened? Ego is rising. So on the opinion, you get a much harder, more solid type of response from the people. So if they're telling you an opinion, or sorry, giving you an opinion, then here the flexibility is very limited. And then if we go on to a belief, what happens with beliefs is people share their beliefs. And this is amazing, because actually with belief, you can have 2 people with entirely different beliefs, and they share their beliefs, and they're able to discuss them. They come from a sense of equanimity. There's balance, both sides. They're doing great. They have their belief. They're really not going to fight about it. They're just going to share it. So they say, no, this is what I believe, and the other party will say, well, yeah, this is what I believe. They don't have to agree, because they're talking from a level of beliefs. And then we get to the 4th stage, which is convictions. And as soon as we get to convictions, boom, call for action. We have to do, we must, it's imperative, we can't not. You've got all this powerful emotion going forward. What do you got? You got somebody who's not ready to change, because they're already convinced, they have deep conviction, no change going on here. They might allow you to do whatever you're going to do, but principally what you've got is a very tunnel visioned sense at this point, because they've reached conviction. So what we need to be aware of is, as we're talking in a conversation with people and they start sharing with us, what we're listening out for, is it a thought? Is it an opinion? Is it a belief? Or is it a conviction? And if they're sharing an opinion and saying, this is my opinion, or they're giving the sounds of convictions, you ain't going nowhere. So don't fight it. Just listen. Say, you know what? I'll take that on board. Let me listen to what you got to say. And if they're sharing an idea, boom, you're in. Say whatever you want. Everything's on. And if they're sharing a belief, then share a belief without conflicting with their belief. You will have amazing conversations. You will actually change the way the conversation works. So what's the first thing you need to do? Stimulate the speaker. Get them to talk. How do we do it? AQAL. Ask questions and listen. Super important. But the thing is here, this is where your intellect shines through. Ask amazing questions. You see, when you ask an amazing question, what makes that question amazing is you're focused on the other person. So focus your question on the other person and get them to say yes. Get them saying yes. Get them in a positive frame of mind. And then ask them, so how are you feeling about things today? And they will start sharing. And as soon as they start sharing, then they talk. So then what you do is STAL. Stop talking and listen. Stop talking and listen. STAL. And this is probably the biggest breakdown in most conversations is everyone wants to talk at the same time. As soon as two people speak simultaneously, no one is listening, I guarantee you. Because both talking cannot be listening. So the moment you feel yourself over speaking somebody else, put your hand on your mouth and stop it. Because two people talking, no one's going to succeed. All right? It's for sure. When they talk, you listen. All right? I'm going to say that again. They talk, you listen. Trust me in this. Because when you listen, you can figure out thought, opinion, belief, conviction, and that's where your success lies. So if they're a thought, brilliant. You're going to have a great conversation. You're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to create stuff. Opinion, just listen. Back down. Don't fight. Belief, you can share. Conviction, absorb. All right? So get them to talk as much as possible, because as soon as they're talking, you're learning and confirm that you're listening. Use those amazing techniques for listening. Oh, I see. And another way of confirming you're listening is to actually take notes, because people will be blown away. If you're sitting there and you're writing notes, they'll be like, wow, this is cool. This person's really listening. Whatever you do, conversation is not a time for you to compete. If you're trying to compete, so you're going to lose the conversation. All right? Don't tell your story. Keep your story to yourself. Don't be judgmental. Don't interrupt. Judgments and interruptions destroy communication. All right? So stay attentive. Stay focused. Use terms like, I'd like to share a thought. No one can argue with you. They can have a different thought, but they can't argue with you, because you're not in an opinion, you're not in a belief, you're not in a conviction. It's just a thought. So it's a very cool way to get a conversation going. Don't forget, use this question, what do you think? And people will be able to share what they think. So the key is listen. Listen. Powerful listening has steps. Ask questions and listen. Remember to focus on them. Remember to get them to say yes. Remember to ask open questions. Remember to STL, stop talking and listen. And remember to listen for which position they're coming from. Are they coming from a position of thought, opinion, belief, or conviction? Thank you so much for watching. This is Mark Dickinson. This is the RLS Rapid Learning System, and I hope you've enjoyed it. See you in the next session.